today. UFC Tampa is in the books, and we got to ask the question, is Colby Covington cooked? Also, what about Killer Cub Swanson as he turns back the hand of time, goes out there against Billy Q, and drops a dime? All of this and more on today's episode of Matter of Fact MMA. What's up? What's happening? Let's go. What's up, guys? We right back at it. We right back with it. It's your boy, Matt. Go Ravens, you know what I'm saying? And we fresh up off of UFC Tampa. The UFC cards for 2024 have ended. We got some year-end wrap-ups coming. And it was a stellar card, bro. On paper, like Anthony Smith, shout out to Anthony Smith, hope he's doing good. On paper, this did look like a pretty good card, but you never know. Sometimes could be a lot of decisions or anything. This fight card banged. Finishes, knockouts, happy endings. Not happy endings, but bro, it was outstanding. And let's start out with the main event, which was definitely not the crown jewel, was not the centerpiece, as Colby Covington goes out there and loses to Joaquin Buckley in the main event in the welterweight division via doctor stoppage. Let's start out with the walkouts. Joaquin Buckley comes out there, you know what I'm saying, comes out there, does his Joaquin Buckley thing, you know what I'm saying, looks confident, looks ready, looks poised. Okay, let's move on to Colby Covington, who had been touting this walkout the entire week and how it was going to be this big, huge thing. The lights go down. Everything is, you hear the fans kind of erupt a little bit as they normally do in a moment like this. You know, there's this kind of a lull, but it's a chattery lull. You know what I'm talking about? You like how I'm setting this up? And Real American from Hulk Hogan from the WWF days, not that E, you know what I'm saying, starts playing over the loudspeakers. They're in Tampa, Florida. And if you know, if for all the Hulkamaniacs out there, you know, Hulk Hogan lives in Florida. And out walks Colby Covington, flanked by Hulk Hogan with the American flag that he's using as a cane at first because he's kind of up in those years, you know. But I mean, you know, when you done have battles with Andre the Giant, been in steel cage matches, what do you want from the man? He comes out with the American flag, Colby Covington in the middle. He's got a flag wrapped around him. And to the other side of him, the gangster himself, Chael P. Sonnen. And they're all walking to the octagon. Now, we had already seen Chael at the weigh-ins come out with Colby Covington. In my opinion, was kind of underwhelming on the mic when he spoke for Colby, but whatever. So you're thinking this is going to be a moment. You know, this is Colby. You know what I'm saying? He's all about, you know, making America great and all of these things. You know what I'm saying? This is the moment, right? And Colby Covington, like he normally does, dropped the ball. The moment did not hit like it should have because Colby was probably nervous because he knows he's already cooked. And each one of these is a cash grab so he can keep on going and playing poker. But nevertheless, shout out to him, though, because he took on a tough fight in Joaquin Buckley. Joaquin was on a 5-fight win streak prior to this. But, bro, Colby walks out there. He's kind of dull. He's not really hyped like we've seen Colby in the past. Hulk Hogan starts waving the American flag. Chael Sonnen's got on the glasses. Colby it seems flat. Then he goes to do the Hulk Hogan shirt tear, and he just, I mean, it was like he was opening up his robe on some wild stuff. You know what I'm saying? Bro, this homie, he just wasn't playing it up. Then he starts to walk in the octagon. He starts to act like he's going to do the ear thing, the Hulk Hogan ear thing. All he does. I mean, bro, you got to play that up. You're walking out with Hulk Hogan to Real American. You know what I'm talking about? You got to, you know what I'm saying? You got to play that up, my dude. But Colby is flat, right? And it was almost like you could see the worry on Covington. You know what I'm talking about? Like, bro, he did not maximize the moment, in my opinion. And then the fight starts. And Joaquin Buckley is working Colby Covington in the first round. At one point, catches him with like a sneaky shot. I believe it might have been almost like it was like an awkward angle. I believe it was a left hand, and it was at such an awkward angle because it was like, if this makes sense, it was in between a hook and an uppercut. You know what I'm talking about? It was weird how he caught him, and it kind of caught Colby in the corner of his eye, around this area. Cut him open right there, and it's just a trickle of blood in the first round. You're like, okay. By the end of the first round, starting to bleed a little bit more, but you're like, all right, let's go. Colby already looks cooked. He already doesn't look like the Colby of old, which is, if you saw my pre-fight breakdown, I wasn't expecting the Colby of old. But nevertheless, bro, Colby, second round starts. They kind of exchange. Colby's throwing shots, but most of them are being blocked on Joaquin's gloves. And then eventually Colby secures the takedown. Has a little bit of top pressure, but he's not really doing any damage. He's not really hitting him with any elbows, you know what I'm saying? He's not really doing much of anything, just keeping top pressure. Eventually, Joaquin Buckley makes it back to his feet, and they begin to exchange again, and Colby doesn't really have nothing for him. So, all right, whatever. Third round. Also, I'd like to mention, Colby's eye is now leaking. Like, his eye is really leaking. His face is leaking by the time they go into the third round. At the end of the day, make a long story short, because this fight was anticlimactic as it could possibly have been. Eventually, both guys go down to the ground. There's kind of a scramble, between both of them on the ground. Eventually, Colby gets top position. He's doing his thing. And, the commentators, Michael Bisping and everybody are like, Colby needs to maximize this moment because that cut looks really bad. And once they stand up, if they make it to, the next round, it's probably going to be stopped via Dr. Stoppage because the eye was looking bad. And it was wild because, like, the blood was, like, all thick. You know what I'm saying? It was all plasmaed out. You know what I'm talking about? It was crazy looking. Nevertheless, long story short, fight is stopped. Dr. Stoppage. Colby didn't have much of a protest. I will say that. You know what I'm saying? Colby's already made some paper. He's already made some money. So, I mean, in a way, you got to think, he's like, come on, bro. Like, let's just stop it. I'm not trying to keep going and lose a whole eye out here in these streets. You know what I'm saying? I make a lot of money playing poker. I've already made money. I'm smooth. So, plus he took this fight on short notice, so I'm sure the UFC sweetened the deal. Nevertheless, Joaquin Buckley goes out there. He gets the win, utilizes the post-fight speech correctly, asked the fans who he should fight next, gave a few options, one in which was Kamaru Usman, which I kind of think is the route that the UFC will end up going. One of them, of course, was the champion, Bilal Muhammad. Fans did pop for that, but Joaquin leaned a little bit more. He was basically saying, whoever cheers, when the fans cheer the loudest, that's who I'm going to fight next. I like the fight. Him versus Usman, I like it, and I think that's the fight that Buckley was angling towards, and it worked out well because he still threw out Bilal, so that way, injury to Shavkat, injury to anybody else that might be in that spot, you never know when Buckley could be slotted in last minute, 3-week, 4-week notice type deal. So nevertheless, man, I think that's the fight to make him and Usman, and we'll see how that works out. Shout out to Joaquin Buckley. Goes out there, biggest win of his career. He defeats Colby Covington. I believe Colby is cooked. I don't really see much to make me believe that he could beat. We're not even going to get into the top of the division, but that, let's say, like, from 5 to 10 in the top 10, I don't think 5-10, I don't think Colby's really beating hardly any of those guys. I don't think Colby's beating a ton of the guys from 5-1. And I know the UFC rankings are screwy. They probably still got Masvidal ranked. You know what I'm talking about? But I think Colby, if he's going to get another win in the octagon, outside of a special circumstance, it's probably going to be at a 15 opponent and lower. You know what I'm saying? Nevertheless, dude, Buckley's on a 6-fight winning streak. We'll see where they go from there. How about the co-main event? Killer Cub Swanson goes out there and has a huge, amazing fight, bro. These dudes were scrapping with Billy Quarantillo, bro. And this was in Billy Quarantillo's hometown, you know what I'm saying? This was crazy. Billy Q looked poised, looked great in the first round, but Cub is swinging. Cub is using all of these crazy Cub angles, catching him with weird, off balance, almost uppercuts. I mean, his striking looked crisp, you know what I'm saying? His striking looked crisp. There was somebody else on this show that had some crispy striking that we'll get into, but this striking definitely did look good. You know what I'm saying? It was a little bit labored at times because you could tell him it's an older Cub. He's 41. You know what I'm talking about? But nevertheless, bro, he's 40. He's a man. But at the same time, this was great, and both men did well in the first round. Right? It was almost like the half of the round Cub won. Last half of the round, Billy Q, in my opinion, started to come on. Second round, both of them are doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? And then Billy Q, it looks like Cub is starting to get tired, a little bit weathered, a little bit slower, and he starts to eat a lot of shots from Billy Q, right? Really starts to eat a lot of shots. And so by the end of the second round, you're thinking, man, I don't really know about this. This might be a wrap for Cub. You know what I'm saying? Because Billy Q, he was coming on strong. Then the third round, Cub Swanson pours out the cup of coffee. He empties the tank. You know what I'm saying? I believe he has a coffee as well. Shout out to Cub Swanson. Bro, he starts going off on Billy Q and eventually catches him with, it was like a left hand followed by a solid right. It was picture perfect. Laid out Billy Q. Billy Q falls backwards, lands flat, and the referee had seen enough. Killer Cub stands over him, throwing out the tongue at him. I mean, it was great, bro. It was great. Shout out to Cub Swanson. The man shows he still got it. Turn back time. Dropped the dime. Did his thing, bro. Shout out to him. Wife comes in the octagon. Shout out to Cub Swanson's wife. Bro, Cub Swanson says, the commentators are kind of walking on eggshells on if this is going to be his last fight. He had been walking on eggshells all week. Said he told his wife it might be, but he's going to go back to the drawing board. Because when you get a knockout like that, and you look that good at 41, this ain't Colby Covington. You know what I'm talking about? And Colby ain't that old. This ain't Colby. Swanson looks like he could go in there and do some damage against not the top of the division, but a lot of guys that would make for some great fight nights and a lot of good paychecks. You know what I'm saying? If he really wanted to. I'm just not sure how low he wants to go. But if he's willing to go that low and get some good action fights, he could really make 2 or 3 more paychecks. You know what I'm talking about? But shout out to Cub Swanson. He looked great. Let's move on. Also, Cub Swanson, Billy Q, fight of the night. Okay, that was the first bonus that was given out. Bro, Victor Petrino in the octagon, Dustin Jacoby. Dustin Jacoby wins performance of the night as he literally, and there was as we keep going down the card, there was a death earlier in the night. I'm just going to say it right now. A man lost his life in the octagon earlier in the night. But in this fight, another man lost his life because Petrino got caught with such a devastating shot from Dustin. And Dustin, he was just poised and waited and waited and waited. You know what I'm saying? And Petrino was just really, really getting antsy. He was getting frustrated. He was getting hyped. He really wanted to do it. And clearly that was Jacoby's, that was clearly his game plan. He said as much and waited long enough. Eventually, Petrino basically kind of got off balance, oversteps, bam, bam, boom. Jacoby's on his way to the pay window, if you know what I'm talking about. Shout out to him. He gets a performance of the night bonus, a cool $50K. Shout out to him, man. It was a great fight. I enjoyed it while it lasted. It had boring moments, but when it got cooking, it got cooking. How about this? Navajo Sterling goes out there against Taco Tucos. Well, hold on. My apologies. I got a little bit off kilter. I just realized, I'm like, wait a minute. What about what I thought was performance of the night fight? Manel Kopp, the star boy. Hold on, I didn't got the fights all out of order. I apologize, but we don't even care. Let's scroll back to Manel Kopp. Manel Kopp puts on the performance of the lifetime. Should have got performance of the night. Should have got performance of the night. I only assume they didn't give it to him because he might have earned a title shot with this. Manel Kopp goes out there and defeats Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva was flanked by Captain Eric Albaicin. Bro, Henry Cejudo's coach. Bro, Manel Kopp was fast. He was accurate. The footwork was on point. He was in a flow state. What other cliches do you want to pull out? You know what I'm saying? The way that Bruno would come at him with these devastating combinations, and Manel Kopp is just he's just out of the way by centimeters, half of a centimeter. I mean, bro, this was amazing striking. This was a strike fest that Manel Kopp was putting on. He took one of the the man was getting harmed, bro, with low blows, 3 low blows from Bruno Silva. These little teep kicks he was trying to throw, but they was low. You know what I'm talking about? Manel Kopp's performance was amazing. He was showboating while he was dodging bullets like Neo in the Matrix. I mean, the dude was doing his thing, bro. If you're going to go back and you're looking for a cool, clean performance of the night to watch, and this did not win performance of the night, I think he probably didn't, because like I said, he's got a title shot possibly on the way, as well as he's missed weight a lot of times. But bro, Manel Kopp put on a show. You know what I'm saying? He got fouled 3 times, and each time I feel like he played it up just a little bit. You could tell he was hurt, but I think he really played it up because he's really, bro, a lot of the time Manel Kopp uses a lot of psychology in his fights, in my opinion, for what I've seen, my humble opinion. And Manel Kopp was doing his thing, bro, and it was awesome, outstanding to see. Great performance by Manel Kopp. After he wins the fight, you know what I'm saying? Wins by KO. After he wins, bro, he's just having a full-blown conversation with Dana White, which he was also having in between rounds, no less. He's having a full-blown conversation with Dana White about getting the next shot at the champion. Many men wish death on Pants. You know what I'm talking about? Pantoja. He wants another crack at Pantoja, and we will see if Dana will grant that. Because the Demetrius Johnson fight is not going to happen, and I don't know who else they're going to try it out there at flyweight, because they're not going to do a Moreno rematch yet. They're not tripping on Brandon Royval rematch this soon. So, Manel Kopp might have got himself a title shot, and I would love to see it. Outstanding performance. Next was the Victor Petrino fight, where he got sent to the Shadow Realm, and that was the performance of the night for Dustin Jacoby. Next, another one of my favorite fights of the night. Adrian Yanez in there with Daniel Marcos. Adrian Yanez also got fouled a couple of times, and maybe twice at the same time. You know, I'm talking about to the top, to the eyes, and to the groin. But bro, Yanez steps in there with Daniel Marcos, and this was a great fight. The first round, Marcos was doing his thing. First round, in my opinion, Marcos piecing up Yanez, you know what I'm saying, kind of stumbled him, bro. Then I mean, well, really, he had him on the street in the first round, if you know what I mean. But bro, Yanez got his composure back, got his composure back, and kept the train going. And Yanez had some great moments in this fight, outstanding boxing by him. And just like Dean Thomas said, at one point, Dean Thomas came on the screen. He's talking. Shout out to Dean Thomas. Great addition to the broadcast. Bro, Yanez's exits after throwing some great punching combinations were just too sloppy. They were just too sloppy, and Marcos was just picking him off in that exact moment. Great fight. Now I will say, Marcos did a lot of running for me, a lot of dodging for me in the third round, but I get it. You know, you're trying to stay undefeated, and you got at least two rounds in the bag, so I get it. But he did some running at the end of that third round. I felt the frustration of Yanez, because it was just like, bro, if you would just get a little bit closer, you know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, though, Marcos stays undefeated. He moves on. That was a great fight. Great fight. Now, I was about to talk about earlier. Navajo Sterling from CKB stepped in the octagon with Taco Tucos. You know, here's the thing, man. Taco, he got a chin on him, and he's dog tough, you know what I'm saying? He's dog tough. He's tougher than old shoe leather, you know what I'm talking about? This dude is tough. He's tougher than a $2 steak, if you get the reference, you know what I mean? But Sterling put on a striking clinic in a way, but you could tell he's only six fights into his MMA career, coming from kickboxing. And once he gets a little bit more seasoned, you know what I'm saying, gets a little bit better of shot selection, and he's able to put together all of the wild elbows and, some good kicks and some off-angle punches that he throws and hooks. Once he's able to figure out where to place all of those, I think he could be something in the division. I saw some people kind of crapping on him a little bit, but I think he could be something in the division. He just ran into a dude that was just tough, bro. He's just tough, and you're not getting ready to knock that dude out too easily or get him out of there too quickly, unless, in my opinion, unless you submit him. And the ground game is his world, but he kept wanting to stand with Sterling. Nevertheless, shout out to Navajo Sterling. He goes out there and gets the win by unanimous decision. All right, let's move on. How about Michael Johnson, the menace? The menace, you know what I'm saying? Back in the early days when your boy Matt was just, well, I was into MMA, mixed martial arts, slightly before that, but back then watching, The Ultimate Fighter, Mike the Menace, you know what I'm talking about? Shout out to this dude. He goes out there, gets a win against Otman Azatar. Now, this was another fight. This was the other fight I spoke about where a man died. You know what I'm saying? You can pour out your 40s, tip them to the side, a little bit of that Colt 45, a little bit of that old English, you know what I mean? That St. Ives, pour it out. Izatar, somebody needs to check on his brother, because is his brother in good health? Because, we lost someone on Saturday night. Michael the Menace goes out there the first round, uses outstanding footwork to lure Azatar in, right? I keep checking his name because I feel like I'm saying it wrong, and I probably am, but that's all right. Uses great footwork to lure the man in, and just did his thing, bro. First round, even threw in, a takedown attempt. I'm not sure if he really got it. I can't really remember. He might have got the takedown, but bro, I'm pretty sure he just held him up against the fence. But, and credit to Azatar. He had a few moments, but a lot of the shots were blocked by Mike, you know what I'm saying? But Michael the Menace goes out there and kills him. Kills him, bro. Let's see, what round was that? Second round. He murdered the man. He goes out there, Both of them start exchanging because now Azatar is being lured in by Mike's footwork, and now he's thinking, all right, let's get into a firefight because the in my opinion, and I'm not no fighter or nothing, but from what I was seeing, Michael Johnson's footwork lured Azatar in, kind of like almost like he wasn't stinging. He wasn't, as I hit the camera, he wasn't stinging Azatar as much as you would think, because he's a very precise technical striker. But he was stinging him enough to where Azatar respected it, but it almost, his movements and stepping back at different times kind of invited Azatar in, like, let's go. And I don't think Azatar felt like Mike really had that type of power. Now, I will say there was about 40 seconds left at the end of the first round where Mike, he stumbled. He staggered Azatar twice. So Azatar should have been on his A game, but he wasn't. And in the second round, bro, eventually he's like, all right, let's throw down. He goes in there gunslinging style. Him and Mike get into an exchange where Mike catches him with a right, a left, finishes him with a right, and Azatar falls forward, dead to the earth. And that was it. Somebody check on his brother because we lost somebody. Michael the Menace Johnson goes out there, gets the win. You know what I'm talking about. Great post-fight speech. Kept you in all the fields, you know what I'm talking about. It was outstanding. USA chants, you know what I'm saying? It was a moment. It was a moment. Probably will go down as Michael Johnson's best moment of his entire career. You know what I'm saying? Absolute best moment of his entire career, and the fans showed as much. So, shout out to all of that, bro. It was outstanding. He also got Performance of the Night bonus, 50 G's to Michael the Menace. Let's move on. I mean, bro, I wasn't expecting this video to really go that long, but it was that much that went on this show. What about Joel Alvarez? Joel Alvarez goes out there against Drakkar Klose. First off, Alvarez comes out there. He comes out there to the Ilia Topuria theme music. You know what I'm saying? Outstanding. The Spaniard is his... Let's talk about as the fight began. He's standing straight up. He's cocky. He's in there with Drakkar Klose. He's like, I ain't tripping on Klose. You know what I'm saying? Had a little bit of disdain in his guard, a little bit of disdain in his defense against Klose. Eventually, Klose takes him down. And you're thinking, okay, you know what I'm saying? Alvarez ain't no slouch on the ground. He looked all right on the ground. They get back to their feet, and Alvarez starts to close the distance, finds his range, starts to close the distance, starts jabbing close up. You know what I'm saying? Alvarez still has his chin in the air, and he's not worried about it. Just cocky, bro. I like this dude. And he goes in there. He catches Alvarez catches Klose, I believe, with a 1-2. And then catches him with a knee. And the knee, pretty much, it was over. He had knocked out Drakkar Klose. Drakkar Klose falls up against the cage or against the wall. And Alvarez runs up and secures a guillotine. And then while he's got him in a one-arm guillotine, starts landing little bitty uppercuts on him. Klose was already knocked out from the knee. Then he goes in there and puts him in a guillotine and starts landing these little short uppercuts. Merry Christmas to Drakkar Klose. Dang, bro. It's going to be a tough holidays for this dude. Alvarez had it in for him. And he's walking around cocky afterwards. Shoulders back, chest out. This dude reminded me of a rooster, bro. It was outstanding, my dude. Outstanding. Great moment. Another finish. Outstanding, bro. I'm not saying he is just yet, but he could be a problem for the division. Let's move on. This was another good fight. Miles Johns stepped in there with Felipe Lima. Felipe Lima gets the win on this one via unanimous decision. Here's the thing. Lima looked great. Stand-up was on point. Ground exchanges were on point. He looked sharp. He looked crisp. Great shot selection. As the fight went on, his guard got a little lax, so Johns started to land some shots. Shout out to Johns. Johns was game in this one. He was game. I mean, Lima was always a step ahead, but Johns was game. And Lima goes out there and does his thing. He gets the win, bro. I like the look of him. I'm not calling him a prospect or nothing yet, but he looks great, dude. Brazil is back in the house. All the recent Brazilian champions, all the up-and-coming fighters in Brazil looking outstanding, bro. Guys like Lima, Diego Lopez, it's a lot of them, bro. They're all looking great, bro. Not Petrino. But they're all looking great, dude. Let's move on. This next fight was boring. It was a forgettable fight that went on before this. Miranda Maverick in there with Jamie Lynn Horth. What do you want? Boring fight. Miranda Maverick goes out there, gets the win. In my opinion, Miranda Maverick, she's got to add some new wrinkles to her offense, bro. Her offense is just trash, in my opinion. I mean, she's a good wrestler, but she does like even a raggedy version of wrestling because she literally is diving for the ankles a lot or right behind the knee. You know what I'm saying? And even when she locks her hands, she's just not really getting a lot of these women down with force. And she's almost like she's pleading while dragging them to the ground. It's not really a forceful thing. It's like, oh, I'm going to drag you. Oh, you gave up, so I got you down. And she just doesn't really have like any, not a lot of good ground and pound, not a lot of good ground offense. On the feet, she doesn't have a lot of good setups to get into her takedowns. I feel like early in her career, before she got robbed of a few decisions, I felt like she looked a lot better on the feet. And I don't know what happened, but she doesn't really look good on the feet anymore at all. Like, look terrible. But nevertheless, she goes out there. I mean, she's facing Jamie Lynn Horth. What do you want, bro? Yeah, of course, she was, she gets the win. Boring, forgettable fight, though. She's got to add some more offense. Next, this was a good fight. Davy Grant goes in there with Ramon Tavares. Great fight. First round, Tavares looked great. You know what I'm saying? He had some moments with Davey. You know what I'm saying? Grant hung in there, though. Grant started to kind of find his range, find good shot selection by the end of the first. Second round, Grant starts to kind of make a pace. Starts to kind of make a pace. But at a point, Tavares, Grant goes for a kick. Tavares drops him backwards with a nice shot. You know what I'm saying? But Davy Grant, Davy Grant goes out there, gets the win via unanimous decision. Looked outstanding in the third round. Outstanding. Shout out to Davy Grant, man. It was good to hear his story about him and his family, going to Disney World and everything after. That was outstanding. It was great that Michael Bisping was on the call because he had a lot of info about Davy Grant. So shout out to all of that. Davy Grant, the old Wiley veteran, still going out there getting a win. Finally, first fight of the night, we had Piera Rodriguez going there with Josephine Knudsen. Piera Rodriguez goes out there and gets the win. Man, she had a fire on under her, bro. She went out there and did her thing. You could tell after her 2 losses in a row and that last one via headbutt stoppage, disqualification, I should say. Bro, she went out there with a point to prove. And she was slanging iron on the feet only to get this girl to the ground. And Knudsen just wasn't prepared. And, I mean, she had rocked Knudsen early in the first round. So, shout out to Piera Rodriguez, bro. Good to see her get back on track. We'll see where it all goes. And that is the final card for the UFC of the year of 2024, UFC Tampa, Florida, and Joaquin Buckley reigns supreme. Killer Cub Swanson reigns supreme in the co-main event. So, that was it, man. We'll be back with some year-end content, some year-end wrap-ups, knockout of the year, submission of the year. You know what I'm saying? We're going to find out some things. You know what I'm saying? We'll see what we can do. So, I do appreciate you guys for stopping in, checking in. Did you enjoy UFC Tampa? Great card. Tons of finishes, tons of knockouts. It was outstanding. Let me know how you felt about it. And I do want to thank y'all for joining me for another episode of Matter of Fact MMA. And I'll check you next time. Peace.